Hello and welcome to the Thursday Total Soccer Show, listener question special. I am Daryl Grove, and joining me is a man who just got a big offer from Saudi Arabia. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. Yes, I'm gonna have to hand in my official registration or resignation rather, and then fly on over there and get to work.
Oh yeah, you'll be paid a lot. You'll be paid a lot more over there.
Yeah, my grandfather did that when he retired from the military.
Is that right?
He went and worked in Saudi. Mm-hmm.
So he's the Mark Clattenburg forerunner.
Yeah, exactly. I think other people have done that as well. I'm fairly certain there's a large population of Americans.
So if you haven't seen the news, people, Mark Clattenburg, English Premier League referee, has accepted an offer to go to Saudi Arabia and be a well-paid referee there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'll say two things. I'll say one, it's kind of a bummer that everyone is moving for money.
Yeah.
That said, I think Mark Clattenburg was... I think he did at one point have to file for bankruptcy. I think he had financial issues.
I didn't know that.
So maybe it does make sense that now that he's kind of righted the situation, he seems like he's in a better place. Maybe it does make sense that if you've been down that road before, when you get the offer for a bunch of money, you're maybe not going to want to turn that down.
The problem I see with this is, imagine a big name signing that a club pays lots of money for, and then they if they disappoint, if they miss a penalty kick, people are like, oh, what a waste of money.
Ooh.
Everybody always ends up hating referees for one reason or another, because they make a mistake or they rule against you in a 50-50 decision against your team. He's going to end up being labelled a waste of money because he's a referee. People are going to end up disagreeing with what he just did.
Yeah.
It's the first ever high profile, high paid, big move referee I can think of, and I think it's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, I really had.
Not physically dangerous, but it's reputation wise, it's a dangerous thing.
I mean, there are definitely cultural issues to take into consideration. I talked about on the goalmouth. There's the Kaza hairstyle that's forbidden. That's, that's unethical, I believe it is. Asamoah Gyan is in trouble for it in the UAE, but definitely footballers in Saudi have gotten in trouble for it. So is that something he'll have to enforce?
He'll have to study up on that.
Will he have to abide by those rules? But you're also correct that I think about David Beckham coming to MLS for the first time, and it was sort of everybody turning up to see David Beckham there.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the same thing? Ooh, Clattenburg's refereeing today. Let's get out there and see what he does. Ooh, controversial penalty call. Yeah. Only he could have made that one.
Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll be the first hero referee since Kalina, maybe. You know what I mean? He'll be the guy that everybody celebrates, and it could be a whole change in the reputation of refereeing.
That said, I think if you're going to go that route, you really want to go with I forget where he referees, but the flamboyant referee who does the crazy strides and running backwards and
on YouTube.
Yes, he's phenomenal, and I think he would be worth a fair amount of money.
Yeah, for
I would pay
value.
for him to come here and referee one episode of this show.
To referee an episode of the show?
Yeah, just so he could hand out yellow cards with reckless abandon, but in a very dramatic way. I'd really enjoy that.
All right, Taylor, shall we get to listener questions? We have 4 listener questions today. I'm really excited about all of them. First one comes from Orion Lehotsky Escobar. Orion wants to know, this is a great question.
Yep.
Which player do you think would be best to play every position in a starting 11, any formation? So Orion's examples: 11 Neuers, 11 Iniestas, 11 Marcelos have all been suggested to me, says Orion. But I'd like to get your opinion. He's talking to you, Taylor, but also me, I guess.
I mean, I'll say this. Marcelo is not a bad shout, nor is Manuel Neuer. I feel like you could lean that way, but I would question his foot skills a little bit and his overall technical ability. I think we've made this joke before, is James Milner. I think you could make that, since he has pretty much played everywhere.
He's kind of doing it anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's currently left back for Liverpool, yeah.
But I would say, maybe if not Milner, I have 3 possible candidates.
All right.
I would say Adam Lallana, his teammate, is a decent shout.
Okay.
He runs everywhere. He works hard. He can score goals, but he can get back and defend.
Wow, there'd be a lot of ground covered by 11
That's
Lallanas.
what I'm saying. They run everywhere. They work really, really hard. I would say this is a bit of personal bias, but Paul Pogba is a good candidate because he's got that size and that physicality.
Yeah.
So he could handle the goalkeeper, the back line. Obviously can handle going forward. My only issue would be work rate. And so then I think when thinking about work rate, I don't know if Cristiano Ronaldo has the defensive abilities, if Leo Messi has the size. So the man I've landed on is Arturo Vidal.
Oh, interesting.
That is who I've gone with. He's 5'11", which is not that short, so he could be a capable goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He might not win the most aerial challenges.
I wouldn't class him as tall, but okay.
He's going to fight. Hey, I'm 5'11". You leave that alone.
You're not. You're 6 feet.
No, I'm not. Trust me. I've lived my life being 5'11 3/4. I am not 6 feet. And then it's one lie. It's a 1/4 inch, but it just seems like such a big lie to say.
You round up.
Yeah. It's the Lil Dicky line of I'm 5'11", but on Tinder I'm 6 foot. I'm not on Tinder, but I can't make that lie.
Right.
But I would say Arturo Vidal is going to challenge for everything. He's going to be tenacious in a tackle, so he's going to be a capable defender. Obviously, runs everywhere, similar to Adam Lallana. Can score goals from distance, fight for everything, good passer, has the aesthetic look you want. He's a little bit scary. You don't want to go up against him. I think for all those reasons, I wouldn't mind seeing a team of 11 Arturo Vidals. 11
Arturo Vidals. Okay, I'm going to work you through my reasoning. Okay, so obviously 11 players, you get their strengths are magnified 11 times, right? All over the field.
Is that how it works?
But also
an Ant-Man situation?
Also their weaknesses are magnified. So for me, 11 Messis, too short, right? 11 Vidals, to me, a little too short. 11 Neuers, obviously great in goal and decent foot skills, but you've got 10 outfield players who are going to be not as good as your regular outfield players. Because as much as we celebrate Neuer's foot skills, I think his claim was he could have played like Bundesliga 2. Yeah. He never claimed I could be a world-class outfield player.
Yeah,
right?
I'd agree with that.
So that's why 11 Neuers is no good. 11 Iniestas is tough after seeing PSG Barcelona. Because then really, if you're going to do that, you would say 11 Verrattis.
Well, I would say like it also depends on timeline, right? Because if we're talking present day,
I am right now.
Okay, that's the difference, right? Yeah. But if we're saying like 5-10 years ago, maybe then Iniesta comes into play. Because
that
I would
team
say
could pass and move. I'll tell you that.
Because I would say peak Xabi Alonso was also in my list because he's got kind of everything you want.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I also thought about say 11 Marcelos is an interesting example, right? Because he technically is a left back, but gets all over the place, but very left-footed, right? So then you've got 11 left-footed players, and your team is horribly lopsided. So I've gone for someone who has a bit of everything. Someone who is tall, someone who is fast, someone who is strong. He's two-footed, he's creative, he can finish, and he can do a bit of defending, even though his man marking isn't necessarily the best. I have gone for Paul Pogba. Okay. I think he is the absolute best choice for a team of 11 in single players. Yeah.
Having watched a lot of Paul Pogba, I agree with pretty much everything you said. You are going to have the issues of defensive responsibility. Yeah. Is he going to do what he needs to do? Is he going to put in that work effort? Because that is the other element there. Like, does he really want to go up and down the field? Or if you have 11 Pogbas, all of whom are like, no, somebody else will defend him. Other Pogba will get him. But other Pogba says other Pogba will get him. Now you've got problems.
But I think of it as a good mix of technique and creativity combined with, I mean, he has got defensive strength, as in, if it's you versus him challenging for the ball, there's a good chance he'll knock you over. So to have that sort of power all over the field, and the two-footed thing I think is a big deal, because Pogba on the right or Pogba on the left kind of works either way.
I agree. There's a person that everything that you were describing and the way you were describing it, I thought you were setting up. And again, maybe a couple years ago, it works better. I legitimately thought you were going to say Jermaine Jones. I really did. Yeah. We've seen him play center back. We've seen him play defensive midfield. We've seen him play attacking midfield. Yeah. I mean, attacking midfield to forward, not that big of a jump.
It'd be tough to have people play positions though, right? Yeah. Because every Jermaine Jones would go for a bit of a wonder. You can't all be number 8.
I think of like the seagulls from Finding Nemo, of just like the ball goes to one player and 11 Jermaine Jones is like mine, and everybody goes running.
Also, a lot of cards there.
Yeah, probably.
Which maybe
all at once
with Vidal as well. I would argue. No, I don't want to get into like comparing our picks.
And we brought a full circle because that's where you need the flamboyant referee out there, just dishing out yellow cards left and right. It's perfect.
My final piece of evidence for why Pogba is the choice. Yep. Different hairstyles. So you can have
that's a good point.
11 different players, but they won't be like clones, replicas. You'll be able to tell them all apart by their different hairstyles. So you'd have like swirly Pogba, bleach blonde Pogba. You'd have different things like shaved into the side of the head Pogba, right? So I think you could tell them apart.
I think the only thing I would say to really cement the Paul Pogba team is that you have to have Zlatan Ibrahimovic as your manager. Because it seems like that's one of the few people who can rival Paul Pogba for like force of personality, and it does seem like Pogba looks up to him a little bit, and I think you have to have that one balancer so that they're all like, Zlatan, we good? Okay, cool. Okay, we can keep going then.
Did you see? I think you did. You saw that we retweeted it. The video of I've forgotten the kid's name. Is the disabled kid who visits the Man Utd training ground and he meets Pogba and Zlatan together, and you could see a bit of deference from Pogba to Zlatan in a good way.
I mean, that video is amazing and very heartwarming, and got a little dusty in my living room. But there's even the one when Zlatan is being interviewed by Thierry Henry. Did I make you watch that like 8 million times? I can't remember.
Probably, but I've probably forgotten it.
But it becomes very quickly apparent that Paul Pogba is just standing just off camera because they're both kind of looking at him, and at one point Zlatan invites him over, but then he makes him sit between them, like kneel down on the floor, and he says like, see what it's like to be between two good players. and then he teases him by calling everything Pog. So it's like Pog pass, we scored the Pog goal because it was all about the branding when he came back. So it does seem like there is that rapport there.
Oh yeah, so my team would be Team Pog.
There we go. I like it.
What would yours be? your Vidal?
I think yours would be Pog, is what it would have to be. Yeah, because Pog has to replace Team. I don't know, the Vidal Fury? I don't know, something like that.
The Vidal Mohawk.
Just the Vidal intensity. That's it. And it's and our crest is just him staring at you. That's it.
God, yeah, Vidal team could do like a New Zealand rugby style haka before the game and kind of stare you out and intimidate you.
And then,
Pogba team would do a lot of face touching.
I like that. Since it's been a while since I referenced Always Sunny, the crest would be Vidal intensity. It'd be the picture of Vidal staring at you would be the crest, and then like the logo underneath would be he doesn't blink. Or we don't blink, I suppose.
So there you go. Those are our two 11s made up of one player. Orion, let us know what you think of our answer. Up next, we have a question from Jeff Root. Jeff wants to know, Wigan Athletic are called the Latics. What is a Latic? So I know the answer to this, and I've invited Taylor to, one, do no research. So this is kind of like shooting from the hip kind of thing.
Yep.
Absolutely take a guess, Taylor.
Okay, I will take a guess. I will say, so we know you have like the glovers because there was a glove industry, and you've the hatters. So I'm going to say the Latics made lattice work. But then they got tired of having like constant run-ins with the lettuce growers union, so they made the lattice a hard K on the end.
Interesting. No, I think spelled Latic.
Oh, I know, right. I know. Yeah, you got to shorten it up. No, my actual guess would be, having done no research, that it relates to some geographic area around Wigan. That like you're from this specific area, the Latic area, so you're a Latic, or it ends with Latic, or something like that. That's my guess.
That is incorrect. Oh. But don't worry, this doesn't represent you.
Okay.
I didn't do the noise. So there's another team called the Latics, Oldham Athletic. I think were the Latics before Wigan Athletic.
Oh, Athletic. There it is. Yep.
And both Oldham and Wigan are in Lancashire, in the northwest of England. So if you're trying to picture this accent, it's a little like, remember Pav we had on the show yesterday? Yeah. It's a little like Pav's
Latic.
Yorkshire accent.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So apparently Latics is just kind of the way that the word athletic was slowly sort of corrupted is wrong, but, became very colloquial in Wigan and Oldham. Like, you would be like, oh, I'm going to go and see Athletic play. Then it was, I'm going to go and see Latic play, and I'm going to go see Latic play. And eventually they became the Latics in both towns.
Yeah, I got you there. That makes sense. I'm a little bit annoyed with myself because I forgot that it was Wigan Athletic. I just wrote Wigan and then stared at it for a while. I wrote Wigan Latic ?
Is that how you did this? You just stared at the word Wigan on a piece of paper?
Is that not how you figure things out?
Just for sheer effort.
I'm sorry, you don't want to make some mind maps?
Like Sherlock.
You said sheer effort just then for a second? I did not think you said sheer. I thought you said another word that I was like, yeah, that pretty much describes the approach. Sure.
All right, Jeff, I hope we answered your question. Mm-hmm. I'm very confident that it's correct.
That's such an obvious answer. I'm so annoyed with myself right now.
I bet you're not the only one that didn't know that, though. Because it's not, when you look at the two words, they're weirdly very different, right? There's lots of letters missing. There's like an S on the end. It doesn't make sense.
No, but if I had written out the full club name, if I had written Wigan Athletic, Latic, okay, got it. Like, I would have been able to do that. I'm just a fool.
Well, you're a fool with an advertiser.
Okay.
Sponsoring today's show is Blue Apron. Mm-hmm. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country.
That is correct. It's also correct to say that they've established partnerships with over 150 different local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States.
Yeah, so a lot of the food you get is really high quality and from trusted providers. This is not random food. Everybody knows where this comes from. We've both taken...
Far less popular than Blue Apron is random food.
it's the bad company.
They just send you bags of scraps, so it doesn't work so well.
Blue Apron sends you bags of fresh quality ingredients. Mm-hmm. And my favourite part, and this is very, very genuine, my favourite part is the recipe card that comes with it, where you can imagine if IKEA were much, much better at giving instructions. That is what a Blue Apron bag is like, right? Because you get the recipe card, you see what it's supposed to look like in the end. Each ingredient, there's an individual picture of it and the name of it. Mm-hmm. You look in the bag that you get, the refrigerated bag, and each ingredient looks exactly like it does in the picture, so you can identify it by eye, and has a little label on it with the name on it. There is no cause for no opportunity for confusion. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, and I do appreciate that it does seem like sometimes IKEA do that on purpose. Like, oh, we're going to flip this one thing around just to mess with everybody, and they'll hate their life. Blue Apron does not do that. You're definitely correct. But the other thing Blue Apron does that kind of relieves stress, at least for me personally, is that as the food had been shipped, I found myself being like, do I have to get it all? If it's a warm day and they leave it on the steps, does it go bad immediately? Like, do I need to get home early so I can make sure that it's refrigerated quickly? But as you said, it's an insulated bag. It's got like the big ice pack in there, so it keeps it cold. I'm not sure it's ice. I'm sure it's some clever state-of-the-art chemical that keeps everything cold, but clean. Ice. Yeah, science ice, exactly. And so that's really nice. So you don't have to kind of stress about that. You come home, the food's there, it's a big box, it's nice and refrigerated. You take it out, you put some stuff away, you cook the other stuff, you make a good meal. It's splendid.
And you get the step-by-step instructions. You really cannot go wrong. And there is nothing like the security of knowing I have all these ingredients. I haven't had to substitute everything because it all came in the bag.
You don't have to Google what's similar to paprika.
So featured upcoming meals with Blue Apron are cashew chicken stir-fry with tango, mandarin and jasmine rice. Roasted pork with apple, walnut and farro salad. There's an example of something that I did not know what it was, but now I know what farro is.
It's Farrah Fawcett's recipe for salad, I believe.
It is not. It's a grain, right?
Yep.
Crispy barramundi, which I found as a fish, with quinoa and roasted carrot salad, and udon noodle soup, suitable for vegetarians like me.
There you are. If those are of interest to you or any of the other options Blue Apron has on available for you, you can check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/TSS. There we are. Good job, Daryl.
You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create individual home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait.
That's blueapron.com/TSS. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
We have 2 more listener questions on today's show.
That we do.
Up next, it's another good one. This question comes from...
Got a lot of papers today.
Harold Whittaker. I shuffled. I got there in time. Next question comes from Harold Whittaker. Yeah. Harold says, help my soccer chat group solve a thorny one. Who is your best starting 11 of today, like who you'd start at the next international date in March by, quote, native tongue? As an example, Harold says... I feel like Portuguese has this. Diego Costa gets to start, right, being Brazilian-born, to go along with Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar. But my friends think French, Spanish, and maybe even German are all in with a shout. I'm guessing English doesn't crack the top 4. So before you start answering, Tyler, just to give people the idea of this, it's basically if you picked teams based on the language that the players spoke, which language would have the best team? And what's your answer?
Well, first of all, my answer is it's a difficult question because some countries have official languages, but that's not necessarily the language that like any given player speaks. It comes down to like native language versus official. But based on my research, I'm going to say my gut instinct with Portugal. I think Portugal's the logical shout, but
Portugal was my first thought because you get Portugal, European champions, Cristiano Ronaldo, plus Brazil, who are Brazil.
Plus Angola and Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah, but how many of those players are making the team?
But I think it would come down to, even
Minucho?
though I think...
Is Minucho still around?
Maybe. I mean, I'm assuming he's still alive. I just don't know where he's playing. I think France would have a lot of attacking options. I'm sure you'll talk a little bit about that. I'd say even German and Dutch because there's not many people that speak it natively, but those that do are very good at soccer.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, it probably would come down to Portugal against Spanish speakers.
Yes. All right. So, and to make the case for Spanish speakers, actually, I may disagree. There's a third team I'm thinking about. Make the case for Spanish speakers. You've got obviously the Spanish national team, right? So you've got like De Gea in goal. You've got Busquets. You've got Piqué. You've got David Silva, Iniesta, Ramos, all those guys. Then you've got most of South America, right? Everything except Brazil, basically, plus Mexico. So that gives you...
Plus Costa Rica. So you've got... Costa Rica. Like, if you don't want to start David De Gea, you start Keylor Navas.
I did not think about that. So you get Mascherano, you get Leo Messi, you get Di Maria. You also then get James, Alexis Sanchez, Arturo Vidal, the aforementioned, and Luis Suarez.
Right.
So the Spanish-speaking team is pretty powerful. How about... Harold mentioned the German team, which is essentially the German national team.
Yeah.
Plus David Alaba.
Yeah. And then whatever Swiss players speak German.
Yeah, but I don't think any of those guys are making the German national team, right?
No.
Top of your head? There's no like superstar that you can name, right?
No, I don't think so,
make it.
Yeah.
So I want to discount Germany and Austria just because it doesn't add enough to what was already there. Yeah?
Yeah. So, I mean, and then, so I mean, I talked about Germany a little bit just because they're so talented. And then, again, the same goes for Dutch. Because you've got parts of Belgium speak Dutch.
Yeah.
Then all of the Netherlands speaks Dutch. I would just say that like Netherlands have been so erratic of late that you don't really know what you're going to get. So maybe you could just say just start Belgium, and that's good enough.
Speaking of Belgium, many Belgian people speak French, so I'm going to claim it as a native language of Belgium, and it is an official language, right? what about French? Because you've got
technicality here.
You've got the French national team. You've got a lot of Belgian players. So okay, so we got Paul Pogba, the aforementioned Paul Pogba. To go in goal, you would have to choose between Thibaut Courtois and Hugo Lloris.
Yep.
Right, for France. You'd have Eden Hazard from Belgium. You'd have Kevin De Bruyne. You'd have Vermaelen. You'd have Romelu Lukaku. Then you've got obviously French national team: Koscielny, Pogba. We mentioned Payet, Kanté. Every team needs a Kanté. He's basically winning the Premier League single-handedly 2 seasons in a row. But then you've got guys like Riyad Mahrez, right? Born in France. Riyad Mahrez is a native French speaker. Sadio Mane plays for Senegal. Speaks French. Koulibaly, the defender, and the icing on the cake, the Gabon player Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I think I've sold myself here that French-speaking team is going to win this.
I think you're going to have some technicalities here, because I would be curious to see how many of those Belgian speakers speak French as a native language.
Yeah.
That would be my only wrinkle in there.
Eden Hazard, the way you pronounce that says French language to me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because we could be mispronouncing it. Who's to say
and
for sure?
I did look up, genuinely, quickly looked up his bio. The place where he was born is La something. La Lorravel. Which sounds very French to me.
All right. Well, I guess let's just go with whichever countries have maybe won the most tournaments lately. We'll see.
So not England?
Or France or Belgium.
So are we going to settle on something here?
Because I think you gave a lot of names for France, and we kind of gave a lot of the attacking names for the Spanish-speaking side, but you obviously still have so many great players that could be in the defense for that Spanish-speaking team, as well as for the Portuguese team. Yeah. Because that's really what I was wondering, is defensively, how strong is that Portugal-Brazil team? Okay. The reality is it's a Portugal team that just won the Euros, as you said. So the answer is pretty defensively
pretty strong, right? And the names off the top of my head, actually off the top of my page, are Pepe for Portugal, even though he's born in Brazil, right? David Luiz is an option. Thiago Silva is an option. Fonte is an option for Portugal, right? That's quite a lot. Then you got Rafael Guerreiro, could do a great job at fullback. Then you got all the Brazilian fullbacks like Marcelo, Dani Alves, all those guys. And then you get into the midfield. I mean, obviously up front we said Ronaldo, Neymar. That's kind of the dream of joining the Real Madrid and Barcelona attackers together, right? Midfield, you've got Renato Sanchez, you've got Douglas Costa on the wings, Coutinho. We could keep listing attacking players that come from these two teams.
Yes. Here's where I'm going to go down a hole that we might not want to go down, but I'm going to go there anyway. Here's the problem I see, not with France actually, but with Spanish speakers, and I can't say with the Portuguese team, but I think it's likely. But I remember from doing all of the different World Cup previews, basically every single South American team's national anthem is about how much they hate Spain. and it does, at some point, it's like the injustice of Spain, the fury of Spain must be overturned. It's very, and so I feel like you're going to have a clash there in terms of, we're going to play our games in Spain, huh? No, that's not happening. So you're going to have some fighting there. Maybe you have some fighting between former colony Brazil and former colonial colonizer Portugal.
Well, you could say the same for France, though.
You could, but I think so you're going to have that chaos all over the place. But I was going to say it's like solidarity. So now I'm kind of up in the air. So I think either one of the three is a good option. Since you seem to have backed France, I will go with France as well.
Yeah, I think I'm backing France because when I look at the roster I kind of put together by just writing every name down I could think of, you've got so many sort of those pieces that make a genuinely good team, like N'Golo Kante, you know what I mean? That will make everything click. Then Aubameyang, like I said, is icing on the cake. It's wonderful to have him. But you got the N'Golo Kante in there, then you're...
I think you sold me with the inclusion of the Belgian team because it really does shore up that defense. Yeah. And I will also add that I'm thinking of the French team in the Euros that was kind of weakened in defense, but then you have to remember that I think, literally their first 5 choice center backs were all injured for that tournament. So that changes the way you look at that team as well.
And you essentially add some French fullbacks to the Belgian team, so they've got fullbacks, and suddenly things look a lot better.
Yeah. Is Patrice ever in there for you or no?
Maybe. I don't know who the other left backs would be. Maybe the PSG guy that we were very excited about in yesterday's show, Kazawa. Yeah, maybe he's the starting.
Could well be. All right, well, hopefully that rambling has led to a semi-answer for Harold, but I think we both gone French.
The Cameroonian left-back who plays for Montreal. Impact.
That's all we need right there. That's what sold it.
African Cup of Nations winner.
Yeah, because, you mentioned it, but again, France, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Central African Republic, DR Congo, Ivory Coast, France, Gabon, Guinea, Mali, Senegal, Togo. Lots of French speaking going on, lots of available options, and that's just to name a few.
Adebayor not in my team.
Oh, he's in mine for sure.
Is he?
No. No.
All right, maybe listeners, let us know on Twitter or via email, contact@totalsoccershow.com or @totalsoccershow. I'll tell you what would be great, if you could retweet this show and then quote it and add which team you think is going to win, which language you think would win in this game.
Alrighty.
Okay. One more question, Taylor. I've asked all three, so I want to invite you to ask the next question.
All right, I can do that. It's a follow-up to Michael Spinelli's Atlanta jersey question about replica versus authentic. So first of all, we had some responses, right, to his question of what should I do in terms of should I get authentic or replica, and should I get a name and number on the back?
Yes.
Do we want to go with those responses first, or do we want to go with the follow-up about replica jerseys?
Well, we'll just mention that the question is from Kevin Foy, just to get Kevin's name out there. But let's address the Michael Spinelli thing first. We got a lot of advice from people that Michael should get number 17 on his Atlanta jersey. The reason being that I think it was the day that we aired this show, Atlanta announced, they didn't listen to the show and then do it, this was obviously in the works, that for this season they wouldn't assign the number 17 to a player, they would keep it for the fans. 17 being 2017 because that's the year that the club first plays in Major League Soccer. So maybe they knew that the question that Michael had maybe is something that Atlanta front office knew was a problem. So we're going to solve this for you.
Yeah. I think maybe it was. So you've got that option. I think the other two that we got fairly consistently were if there's a player with your own last name or first name, you go with that. That I don't think I would be a big fan of that option. The other one, which I have seen a couple different times, is you go with a famed, beloved celebrity from your respective city. So for Atlanta, you go Outcast. You go. Maybe I wouldn't go Big Boy on the back. So maybe Andre 3000, Killer Mike, I believe, is also from Atlanta. You could get Run the Jewels on the back if you want to go that option.
Is Donald Glover from Atlanta?
I don't know.
I kind of feel like he might be just because that show Atlanta is so Atlanta that only someone who's from there could know it. You know what I mean?
Now, I would say with this, without naming any specific names, I would say the only downside to this is, as we've learned time and time again, a celebrity who's very, very popular one moment is not guaranteed to be very, very popular the next.
That's true.
So having just watched The People versus O.J. Simpson on Netflix, you can run into problems.
One other thing. Number 17, Joseph Martinez, the Venezuelan forward that Atlanta signed. He used to play for Torino. Really talented player. I think he had a decent impact at Copa America Centenario. He loves wearing number 17. He has number 17 tattooed on his neck. He wore 17 for Venezuelan national team, worked for Torino. He's going to be very disappointed when he finds that jersey has been sort of reserved for fans. But I will say this means that you can get 17 this season and you can be like, this proves I was there from the start. Right? If Atlanta was super successful in 3 years, 17 on your back means I was there first season. But also, Martinez could then inherit that shirt next season. And assuming he's successful, you've then got a really successful, popular player's jersey as well.
In the meantime, I'm wondering if he does one of those, if he flips it and is number 71 this season. I forget, I think, was it Ronaldinho who wore 99 because he wanted to be 9 and that was taken, so he was 9 twice. Some people have worn 18 before because 1 + 8 equals.
Jurgen Klinsmann did that because he wanted to be number 9.
So all of those are options for Martinez, but yes, I'd say 17 is a good bet. Now, we also had another question from Kevin. Should we go to that one?
Yes, please.
Kevin says, everyone knows you can get a really cheap knockoff jersey from China. He's not arguing against the process. He says he has an Argentina Messi jersey, a Chelsea Hazard jersey, an Ivory Coast Drogba jersey, and they all fit pretty well. Next to his replicas and authentics, they hold their own. So, Kevin asks, do you own any knockoff jerseys, and are you against buying knockoffs over replicas or authentic?
It's a thorny subject, right? Because technically it's illegal, right? I mean, there are sort of trademark, I think, or copyright, I think, trademark infringements with knockoff jerseys especially if you have the badge or something even close to the official badge on there, right?
Sure.
So I don't want to outright support it because you're essentially supporting an illegal trade. On the flip side,
I 100% support it, by the way. So go ahead.
let me do my loyalty thing, and then you can do your thing. On the flip side, even the replica jerseys, they're the ones that are like $70, $80. They're crazy expensive for what they are. And the authentic jerseys are also crazy expensive unless you're a professional player and you get it for free, right? So I sort of morally think it's okay because the other jerseys are so expensive.
Yeah. I would also say it's worth noting that, you hear this time and time again when Manchester United signs Zlatan. It's like they paid his salary 10 times over because of how many shirts they sold. No, they didn't, because Adidas gets that money, not the club. They might get a very small percentage, but the club doesn't get any percentage of the jersey sales.
Didn't we do
or a very significant percentage, that is.
You did an episode with Secret Soccer Shop owner, who we went and visited recently. Hello, Secret Soccer Shop owner. And he basically laid out the way it works for us, right?
Right, exactly. So with that in mind, it's not like you're helping your club unless you're doing a very specific thing. Like there was the one for Chapecoense where it was like if you buy the jersey, the proceeds go to the club.
Knockoff of that would be in poor taste.
Yes, I agree. Outside of that, I mean, I think yes, that's the answer. I mean, sweatshop labor aside, because that's how those jerseys are being made, which is why they're so cheap.
That's true for all jerseys.
Well, then there you go.
That's true for the $150 jersey as well, right?
Then, I mean, I don't have as much of a problem with it because it is just so expensive. That said, I will add this: I have purchased an authentic jersey once in my life. That is the jersey that has held up the best.
Yeah,
and I think there is something to be said for. You get what you pay for. I own a Galatasaray Harry Kewell jersey. That was, I believe, 10 Turkish lira. I own a Manchester United Wayne Rooney jersey.
With the conversion rate, that's not a lot of money, is it?
That, at the time, would have been about $6.50, maybe $7.
Right.
I own a Wayne Rooney Manchester United jersey. I think I have another Turkey jersey for Hakan Şükür.
Yep.
So
you gave me a Turkey jersey, right?
There we go. See, well, that might not have been knockoff, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think so. Maybe it was. Who knows?
We'll take a look at it later.
Hey, is there a name on the back?
Yeah, I can't remember who it is now.
Has it been washed off? Because if so, it's a knockoff. It's not even replica.
I have owned one knockoff. I had this is going back a long time, I had a Leonardo number 18 Milan jersey. So when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, we used to go on like lads' holidays to like Spain and Greece, I think this was. We went to Rhodes. And they had a lot of stores there that just had loads and loads of knockoff jerseys. And you could pretty much go through and pick any big European team with their name on the back.
Yeah.
And I went for a Leonardo. Wearing that jersey, playing pickup, is the only time I've successfully pulled off a rainbow that worked. So I credit that Leonardo jersey with my one moment of pickup magic.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I'll say this, though. You that story does bring up another point for me, which is I never know. I kind of don't like buying jerseys anymore because I never know when to wear them. I'm not a big fan of wearing a jersey out in public. I don't that's not really my style. Even to watch the team play. Yeah. It's not something I necessarily enjoy, but I also don't like playing in the jerseys either. So they tend to either sit in a drawer or
I've got the same thing.
Or I think I once attempted to like frame one, and my wife was just like, "Okay, enjoy hanging that at the office." I always had that issue with jerseys of like, what do you do with them?
I tend to only do it for like a national team game. I'll wear a US jersey for a big US game. I'll wear an England jersey for a big England game. I'll wear a Wolves jersey for a big Wolves game. I don't know why it makes me feel like more part of the process of supporting the team and watching the game.
Yeah, no, I think it does. I think that's
not a lot of wear,
national team.
right?
It's a little different. Yeah,
that's not a lot of minutes that you're wearing it for.
You have to find excuses like, there's a replay of the USA's game against Algeria on ESPN2. On goes the US jersey.
I do love that people wear jerseys after games because then you can. Say you go to the grocery store after a game, you know who's just watched the game, right?
Yeah.
You can see those people wearing the jersey. And there's always like, if you've also got it on, there's like, even if there's not a conversation, there's a knowing nod. There's like, yep. You're one of my people.
Although usually if it's after a big game and they're wearing a US jersey, you can tell by the smell of alcohol on them.
On the jersey. Right?
Yeah, usually.
So the other thing, this is maybe more of a me problem than a regular people problem. I get a little self-conscious with a knockoff jersey.
What does that make you? I'm confused now. Are you not a regular person?
I'm not. Well,
so you're better than us? I see how it is.
We're about to find out.
Englishman.
I get like a little self-conscious that if I'm wearing a knockoff jersey, people might think that I don't know it's a knockoff jersey and I've been tricked into buying like defective products. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and here's where more sage advice from my wife. I think she got it from her mom. If you can't remember what you wore yesterday, no one else can either. And it applies to jerseys too.
But I genuinely go with that theory. I mean, you know me. I don't sort of pay too much attention to how I dress, but for some reason that's the one thing.
You
where
spend
I'm like
7 hours in front of the mirror every day. The reason why the show was late sometimes is because Daryl was late getting here because he woke up at 6 getting ready.
No, none of this is true.
So many beauty products.
But do you have that same question when you're wearing a knockoff jersey?
No,
never. Not at all.
Anyone who says to me, "Hey, that's a knockoff jersey," we don't need to be friends. like if you think that is your responsibility to go around, you're the worst weird version of Johnny Appleseed ever. It's just like knockoff jersey, knockoff jersey, knockoff jersey. We don't need to hang out. So no, that's not something I really worry about too much. I think the thing I worry about more is. And like we went, as you mentioned, we went to the shop recently, and one of the shoes he had me try on were those bright red Adidas boots, which were amazing and super comfortable and fit like a glove. I can't wear red shoes. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Those had like red flames on the front as well.
Yeah. That was a bit much. But I do have the red flames on the side of my car, of course.
Of course, yeah.
I don't.
I mean, they make you go faster, right?
Yeah, duh. But I always have that kind of weird paranoia of like if I'm wearing a Messi jersey or something like that. am I saying that I'm messy? Like, should I be wearing, like, should I just get squad player written on the back and then, like, I can feel a little bit more at home? Like, bench player who almost got the call up, was allowed to warm up but didn't get substituted in. Can I get that written on the back? Like, so I have that weird hang up about, like, I don't want people to think, like, oh, this guy thinks he's messy. Great, another person like that.
So essentially, Taylor and I have too many psychological problems to go heavy on the knockoff jerseys.
Well said. So here's what I will say. If you want to go, and this is genuine advice, if you want to go like a little more subdued but still support your team, one of my favorite things that I have is a Man United shirt from when they won the FA Cup in like 85 or 86, I believe. And I found that on eBay, bought that.
Kevin Moran was sent off in that game.
I will take your word for it because I was 1 year old when that game happened. But I like that because it's like, it's a college shirt, it's understated, but it has like the crest and you kind of, so like going out, I have that New York Cosmos one that's just the crest as well. Yeah. Like the kind of understated one, I think is the way I would prefer to go.
You're saying hipster, right?
Is that hipster? Just because it's old school?
A tiny bit hipster, yeah. Not in a bad way.
Well, you're right, because I've gone too old jerseys. But I'm saying, like, or too old uniforms or whatever. But the idea, I guess, would be that, like, just a collared shirt with the logo on it, I feel like is enough to show. Like, because it does feel like it goes down that road of, like, I'm wearing a jersey and a scarf and a hat, and that means I'm more of a fan than you. Even though I can't name anyone from 1985's team. Like, it doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah, actually, I think that is a good... I prefer like a t-shirt or like I have that England t-shirt with the big England crest on it. I love that more than an England jersey because I can just wear it randomly and I can also wear it to play soccer in and it's got many more uses.
And that's why, and I promise that this is not an intentional product placement, I do also love a scarf. A team scarf, a club scarf, available from roughneckscarves.com is the way to go, I think, because you can just put that on. Cold, hot, it doesn't really matter. You can buy the warm weather ones if you need to, so that you're not like dying of wool. But I think that's another like nice, simple way to show your support.
Speaking of support, today's show is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek has come along and created an amazing app and website that makes it easier than ever for fans to buy and sell tickets.
They do all the price comparison for you by searching multiple ticket sites and ensuring you get the best possible deal.
So I've opened the SeatGeek app, as I am wont to do. Yesterday I found WWE. Today I found something very different. Steve Martin. Steve Martin is touring. Steve Martin is coming to Richmond in April, the day after my wife's birthday. He's also going to be in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Indiana, in Pennsylvania. Well, he's going all over the place. He's going a long way for an old man.
Can I also say Steve Martin has too much talent? Like, it's not fair. Like, as in, when you said Steve Martin is coming to town, I literally was like, is it comedy or is it like, is he reading?
Is it banjos?
Is he reading excerpts from his well-received, like New York Times best-selling books? Is it him playing banjo? It's not fair.
Is he writing a screenplay?
Yeah. It's just him writing at a desk. People pay money to see that, yeah.
All right, put you on the spot. What's your favourite Steve Martin thing?
I think King Tut.
Interesting.
I mean, it's probably like one of my earliest memories of SNL, I would say. So it's up there. Or maybe The Jerk. I think you can't go wrong with The Jerk either.
Yep. The Jerk. I saw Dumb and Dumber first.
He hates these cans.
I saw Dumb and Dumber first and then later saw The Jerk and I was like, oh, I see. I see where you got most of this from. But my favourite thing is LA Story and talking to the weather freeway sign.
Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I haven't seen LA Story.
It's a great movie.
I feel like this is the second time I've seen a movie that people are going to yell at me for not seeing, or haven't seen, rather. Yeah.
Send your yells to taylor@totalsoccershow.com.
All right, so you're going to go see Steve Martin. I mean,
maybe. I'm hoping to. Yeah.
Well, hey, wife's birthday present, I think so. I think if I'm getting tickets, it's going to be to VCU basketball. They're at University of Richmond.
Can I come to that?
Yeah, sure. At University of Richmond, you've also got George Mason coming to town as well. But VCU lately have been having some crazy finishes. I don't know if you've seen those. That like I think they won last week. They won 2 games, both in the last like 0.7 seconds, both on crazy plays.
Yeah, Blair Hollingsworth let us know about this.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So maybe just showing up just to see if there's any more insanity happening.
And they beat Davidson recently. I know that. I know that's a big deal.
Hopefully, March Madness bound. Tournament bound, we shall see.
Is it not guaranteed at this point?
No, I mean they're top of the A10, but they have to, the tournament matters and who they win and lose to.
Wait, do you follow college basketball? Like, you know what's happening in college basketball?
No, not really. I follow, like...
But more so than I do, apparently.
I follow Virginia basketball, basically.
I see. But there are tickets...
some Kentucky.
There are tickets to VCU games on SeatGeek, and I assume other college basketball games. So SeatGeek is a great place to go and get college basketball
They're
tickets.
also a great place to go and get a $20 rebate. Download the SeatGeek app, go to the settings tab, and click Add a promo code. Enter the promo code TSS, and SeatGeek will send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase.
So download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code TSS today.
And that's it for us from today. We'll have more for you tomorrow, right, Daryl Grove? Just kidding. We've got scouting.
Scouting reports coming in
always
thick
scouting
and fast. There are almost more scouting reports than there are Steve Martin concerts this year. Do you want to go first or shall I?
Why don't you go first?
Okay, up first, Matthias Boutin is scouting Balou Jean-Yves Tabla, the 17-year-old Canadian midfielder for Montreal. We saw Tabla play, didn't we?
I believe we did for FC Montreal, last season in the USL.
Okay, Matthias says Balou played his first match with the Impact, so the senior team, in a friendly against the Chicago Fire, which the Impact lost 4-1. The 17-year-old started the game on the left wing, showing what head coach Mauro Biello called a strong willingness to get forward. That could be an insult or a compliment. Last week, Biello said that Tabla was the most impressive soccer talent to come out of Quebec. That's definitely a compliment. In the past 30 years, that's very much a compliment. But Matthias isn't sure if that actually means anything. I'm saying it's a compliment.
I mean, it is, but I think his larger point is it's not as though Leo Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, such great Montreal products. He's following in their footsteps. Up next, we've got a report from Patrick Schneider scouting Nick Tattague, 17-year-old American midfielder from Midlothian, Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Young Nick's 18th birthday is tomorrow. That's February 17th, for those of you not listening on the day this episode goes out. Patrick adds that hopefully this means there was big news coming, and he also attached a photo of Tattague appearing to wear a Schalke uniform. I'm assuming that was during his trial with Schalke.
Well, so basically he's training with Schalke, right? Along with, I think it's Weston McKennie and Haji Wright. But I think you can't sign a contract with a German team until you are 18, right? Especially if you're not, if you're an American.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So I have to say, in that case, credit to Patrick Snyder for not even just reporting he turned 18 and now he's signed. It's like he's getting ready to turn 18, and that means he might sign.
This is well-sourced rumor mongering from Patrick Snyder.
And I like it.
Okay, up next, Jonas Benson is scouting Will Vint, 16-year-old attacker from Colorado. Jonas says, 16-year-old Colorado native is currently, quote, on trial at Manchester United after impressing in a tournament hosted by the club. Playing for his school team, Will Vint, his name is, scored roughly 9 of his side's 11 goals. United appear to have spotted him, and he will be on trial for the next 6 weeks. So we have an American on trial at Manchester United. All right.
And thank you to Jonas for adding quotation marks to every other word in that scouting report. And
on trial, he's in quotes.
Well, no, with the purpose of it appears annoying me. That's actually what he wrote.
Why?
Because he said he thought I would read them, I think, as my inner monologue or something. I don't know. It was well done. He also put his name in quotes. So nicely done, Jonas Benson. Up next, Julian Nishimura Jensen scouting Alan Halilovic. Daryl's, I think, young man crush is what I'm going to say.
He's one of them.
Okay. 20-year-old Croatian midfielder for Las Palmas.
It's my Croatia crush.
There we go. Ooh, Luka Modric would like a word with you, as would Ivan Rakitic. Halilovic started and played 80 minutes in Las Palmas' 1-0 loss to Sevilla on Sunday. Julie adds that there wasn't a whole lot to report from the game, but she was happy to see him buzzing around the midfield once again.
So he's had Alan Halilovic just has a tough old time, right?
A little bit.
Hamburg, it didn't
for a
work
20-year-old,
out. And we really were hoping for Halilovic Bobby Wood hookup. Did not happen at all, though Bobby Wood now has that starting spot at Hamburg. I was looking at the US Under-20 roster today for qualifying. Manuel Sabi is also at Las Palmas. I'm not sure how much first-team action he's seeing, but we still could get a creative Croatian and young American forward connection if Sabi cracks that first team.
I would say, given that he is with the U20s and not with the Las Palmas team, he's probably not going to be cracking the first team this season. Just a shot in the dark.
More on the U20s tomorrow when we'll look ahead to the U20 World Cup qualifying tournaments. Ryland Arnold is up next scouting Ben Woodburn, the 17-year-old Welsh forward for Liverpool. A lot of hype about Ben Woodburn. Ryland says, with most of the frontman for Liverpool back to full fitness or back from national duty, Woodburn has returned to Liverpool's under-23s. The young Welsh forward did, however, draw heaps of praise from his youth team coach as he scored 2 goals and contributed to 2 others in Liverpool's victory over Huddersfield's under-23s in the Premier League Cup. Ryland notes that he isn't entirely certain what the Premier League Cup actually is.
Nor are we. So So I will quickly move on to Peter Beckhoff scouting Alban Lafont, the 18-year-old French goalkeeper for Toulouse.
Oh, he's one of these crazy teenage keepers, right? Yeah.
He's another one similar to Steve Martin, who I think has too much talent. Peter says, young French goalkeeper Alban Lafont turned 18 in late January. By my count, he made 45 first-team appearances and had 14 shutouts in League One before his 18th birthday. Ligue 1, excuse me. This season, he has played in more first-team games than any other U21 player in all of Europe. As a result, he's been strongly linked with a summer transfer to either Arsenal, Lazio, or Watford.
Those are three very different teams.
That's it. I think he ended. I think when it was written, it was Arsenal, Lazio, and Watford. Watford had a question mark around it.
God, man, Alban Lafont. This is a tough one, right? Because obviously he's comfortable at Toulouse. I think it's a lot of pressure if you go to like Arsenal and then suddenly there's all the pressure of being an Arsenal player. Yeah. Or there's all the pressure of being a backup keeper when suddenly you've almost spent your whole life being a starting keeper. Probably.
Yeah, definitely. And suddenly, you're sitting there. Maybe you slow your development a little bit.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why Peter said that it might happen is because Toulouse started very hot. They were in like the top 3, I think, for a little bit of time. They've since cooled. Now they're 9th or 10th, I think, in the table. So maybe there's this idea that like you get this idea that that's what it's always going to be playing for Toulouse. You're always going to be kind of mid-table. You're never going to be maybe winning Ligue 1, so maybe you want to go elsewhere where there's greater chance that you have greater success.
Yeah, you can't be successful and play Toulouse forever.
I was waiting for one of us to do it. I assumed it would be me, but I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad it was you this time.
All right, thank you to Matthias, to Patrick, to Jonas, to Julie, to Ryland, and to Peter for the scouting reports today. Many more scouting reports to come. If you would like to join the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network, send an email. No, sorry, don't send an email. Go to the website. Go to totalsoccershow.com/subscribe. You can sign up to support the Total Soccer Show, and then we send you a player to scout. I've received some itchy feet emails recently. I will be assigning new players later this week. If you would like a player to scout, you've already subscribed, you want a player to scout, send an email to contact@totalsoccershow.com with the subject line itchy feet.
So $5 a month gets you a player, $10 a month gets you a player, and a guaranteed listener question that we will answer as we did today. Also, for those of you wondering at home, I know you can't see it because it's a podcast, but Daryl has kept his Herculean streak alive of writing on his hand. That right hand is now covered in ink completely. Every episode, I don't know how you do it.
Should we put a photo out of this so people know what we're talking about?
I think we have to, because it's not just that like you got a little mark on there. Like it looks as though you cracked a pen and then poured it on yourself as we were recording, and I don't know how you pull it off.
Like a leopard.
Because we've used the same pens. It's not like your pens are just like more runny than mine. I'm really curious what you do. Am I just that boring that you doodle on yourself over the course of the show?
Yeah,
there it is. Okay, I'll talk less then. In fact, I'm going to be quiet now.
All right, Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. Listeners, thank you for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow with our preview of the US men's national team under-20 World Cup qualifying tournament.